What is up, guys? It's your boy, Rick Kakis, and today we have the complete Ghosts of the Deep Dungeon Guide for Dummies, showcasing every single mechanic of every single encounter to allow you to beat this brand new content just added into Destiny 2 with the Season of the Deep as easily as possible. And so, let's get started. First things first, to access this content, you will need, I believe, the Dungeon Pass, and also you have to pick up an initial quest that's offered by Hawthorne in the tower. Once you have this, you can load into this dungeon through the Helm directory, as you can see. Now, you're going to start out in this large wooded area, and this is actually the first encounter. Keep in mind that you can use your Sparrow for traversal here, but you're going to make your way forward until you get to this kind of hive altar right here, and there's several statues being displayed. So hit up the rally flag and kill the first few knights to trigger this encounter, and then behind you, you're going to see a glowing ogre that spawns, importantly called the Soulfire Binder. So, once you kill this guy, in the bottom left corner of your screen, you're going to see the way forward is revealed. And if you look at where that ogre died, you're going to have like green mist making a pathway into the forest. So, you're going to want to follow that green mist. Now, it won't lead in its entirety to where you're supposed to go, but it will give you a good hint in the direction you're supposed to be heading. And what you're looking for is another hive ritual site, and specifically, you're going to look for one with a hive symbol above it. So in our case, we see a ritual site with the hive ruin consisting of a bunch of horizontal lines floating above it. Once we approach, a bunch of enemies spawn, we kill these enemies, and then you're going to see another notification that the way forward has been revealed, and there's a new trail of green mist. So follow it in that new direction to find the next ritual site. And as you can see close by, we again see that hive ruin with a bunch of lines. So it's the same thing as before, kill the enemies, get a new pathway, follow that to the next ritual site, see that same symbol, slay out, but this time, the third time, you're going to importantly have a Lucent hive that spawns. Now, once you do dispatch this Lucent hive, whoever gets the actual finisher on the ghost made by the Lucent hive is going to get a new buff called, as you can see, Vestige of Light. At this point, you want to hightail it back to that original hive ritual site that you first activated this encounter, because you have to kind of plant the Vestige of Light buff at the correct hive statue. So, how do you know which one is correct? Well, once you get back to this original ritual site, you're going to see the Veil Weaver Wizard right here. You're going to want to kill this wizard, because once you do, you're then going to be able to activate a deep sight that wizard drops, as you can see right here. Once you reveal, all these statues are going to spawn around you, as you can see, and what you're doing is going to the statue with the correct symbol. So you want to go to the one that has, obviously in this case, a bunch of vertical lines, and you can see me do that right here. You invoke with the Vestige of Light, and boom, there is your first statue done. And guys, at this point, it's just doing that same process several more times. So you're going to wait until that ogre spawns, kill the ogre, you're going to get a new pathway leading in a different direction, head over to the first ritual site you see with a symbol, in this case, like it's like the turret symbol is what we call it. Kill all the guys, you're going to get a new pathway, go to the next location, kill all the guys until eventually you go to one with a Lucent hive. That gives you the Vestige buff. You go back, you reveal the statues, you plant at the correct one. And it's really just doing that again and again until eventually you have completed enough statues, as you can see, and that will open up this door and let you go forward. But moving on from there, we have honestly something very unusual. I've made a lot of dungeon guides, but I've never encountered anything like this, so I'm not exactly sure what to do, because we have the longest traversal section I have ever seen. You're going through different pathways of structures. You're going underwater multiple times. You're weaving your way through a sunken hive ship. It is crazy. And there is a hidden chest along the way that we did find, and I will show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play in the background kind of the important parts. Like you'll see, the first part is going through that ripped open gate and finding that one hole that lets you kind of crawl through. After that, it's picking the right directions to go via getting underwater and stuff like that. So kind of the important parts where you have to find a small passageway where to go. I'll try to play as many of those as I can in the background gameplay. Also, guys, while you're doing the underwater sections, if you have a team, you really have to time picking up the bubbles, because when you do, there's actually an area of effect. If one person picks it up and the other two teammates are nearby, they will also get that pressurization effect and not die. But if one person is like too far ahead, you are absolutely screwing your other two teammates. Like they simply don't respawn fast enough. And unlike, a salvage mission underwater section, there's really not a lot of bubbles in a lot of these underwater sections. So you really do have to like get all your teammates together and go, okay, 1, 2, 3, grab the bubble and then move to the next one and then move to the next one. Otherwise, again, people are going to be dying. Now, as for the secret chest, when you get to this part here and there's a wide open space in front of you underwater, as you can see, when I jump, I look to my left and I see 2 different sections to where I could go to get back into the air zone, I guess, whatever you'd call it, get out of underwater. Now, we missed the upper section and we go into the bottom one. You do want to aim for that upper section. If you miss it and go in the bottom one like we did, you can double back. As you can see, you just have to kill these enemies, hop on these rock structures, and then just go to where that entrance is. But as you can see, that is our hidden dungeon chest. But after that, you are just moving forward still like crazy. More underwater sections, eventually getting into this hive ship. And again, in the background gameplay, I'm going to try to show you those important moments within your traversal, finding the right hallway to jump up out of that you could easily miss, picking the right kind of hole to jump through that actually leads to a bridge and not just drops you into an abyss, all of that important stuff. But guys, eventually, after making your way through this hive ship, you're going to actually get back underwater, but very importantly, this underwater section is actually part of the next encounter. And while you go through here, you're going to see there's actually a Lucent Hive Knight down here with you. So yeah, you still are very inhibited in terms of mobility underwater, so make sure to get out of there as quickly as possible. You can look for this part right here that lets you float up to the surface, and then we finally have the next encounter. So to start things off, the big bad boss is of course immune. So what you need to do is on the different sides of this arena, you're going to find blistered knights. Take those guys down as well as taking down all the other adds if you can, and eventually you're going to trigger an ogre to spawn at the back of the room, and this ogre is called the Keeper of the Deep. Now, once you kill this ogre, it's actually going to kind of back near the beginning of this arena spawn the deep sight activation. So you can go and you can activate deep sight. Now, the reason behind why you're doing this is because, as you can see, after activating deep sight, you can look up to your left and to your right of kind of where you do that activation, and you can see hanging on the walls, you have these different like circles chained up, but some of the circles have symbols, right? There's 3 symbols in total. You might have 2 to the left, 1 to the right, or the opposite, but what you need to do is go back down underwater and activate these 3 symbols. Now, while you're underwater, all of the different symbols are displayed. If you activate the wrong one that isn't up hanging on the wall, you will instantly die, and the Lucent Knight is going to be chasing you around down here as well. So have fun. But once you do activate one correct symbol, then back on the surface, a Lucent Hive is going to spawn. And again, when you kill this Lucent Hive and get the finisher on their ghost, you're going to get that buff Vestige of Light. Now, at this point, what you actually need to do is simply activate one of the 3 different statues. So there's one in the back of the arena, one on the kind of, almost back left, and then almost back right, as you can see right here. Now, importantly, it doesn't seem to matter which statues you activate or in which order. You simply have the person who is underwater say, okay, I got a symbol. That spawns the Lucent Hive, you get the finisher, and you activate a statue. Then when the person underwater says, okay, I've just matched another symbol, you're gonna have another Lucent Hive, you get the kill, you get another statue, and then finally when the 3rd symbol is matched, the 3rd vestige buff is activated, and the 3rd statue is activated, we get to the damage phase. So what's going to happen is that back near the starting point of the arena, you're going to have that Hive Lucent Knight that's been chasing you around underwater. He's gonna jump up to the surface, and then you will have, as you can see, a Wellkeeper Knight. You have to kill this Wellkeeper Knight. They're gonna drop this kind of green mist. You stand in here, and while you're standing in there, then you can actually lower the shield of this boss. Now, after that point, once the shield is down, you can get out of this, green goop, and you can damage the boss from wherever. And then do as much damage as you can. We were using rocket launchers with a Galahorn. That might have not been the best idea because, as you can clearly see, that big bad Lucent Hive Knight and the Wellkeeper Knight spawn right next to each other. So you're trying to stand in there and lower his shield. You're rocketing yourself kinda, and he's smacking you. Maybe even swords would be okay for taking this guy down. But eventually, if you don't kill this guy in one phase, then you're gonna have to do that process over again. So it's killing that ogre, getting a deep sight, looking at the different symbols displayed on the wall, activating those 3 symbols down underwater, and then for each one activated, killing the Lucent Hive Knight on the surface, getting the vestige buff, and activating his statue. Again, 3 statues activated means another damage phase. And you're just gonna have to rinse and repeat enough times so you can actually take this guy down. Alright guys, there you have it for the 2nd encounter. Now, let's move on from there, and we have yet another underwater traversal section. This one isn't quite as complicated. You are gonna get to this huge area right here. Probably a secret chest in here that we may have missed, but anyways, you're going to just kind of hop your way forward from platform to platform until eventually you are going to find a Keeper of the Deep ogre. So you're going to kill this guy, and guess what? Yup, you head back underwater, but in not too long, you're going to get to this area here, and this is the final encounter, the final boss fight, and take a moment to look around and realize this is Oryx's body that the Hive is trying to resurrect here. You can see his head, his hands sticking out of the ground, like a pretty crazy arena here. But this is also a pretty complicated encounter. So, to start everything off, get a finisher on this Lucent Ghost that I'm pretty sure they were trying to use to put into Oryx, but regardless, that's going to trigger the big Necromancer, a wizard boss, to start moving around and shoot at you, and of course, they are immune. Now, around the map, you have several different locations where, as you can see, if you kind of walk over these locations, you'll have glowing green symbols around you. And these are very important. However, there's a lot of them, and you need to figure out which ones specifically you need to utilize. And how you do that is, as you can see in the middle of the map, a deep sight spawns. So someone needs to go to it, activate reveal, and then, as you can see, like a green triangle will appear. Essentially, it's 3 different points, and each of these 3 points, as you can see when you go to them, are gonna have that glowing kind of circle around you, that glowing green circle that you saw earlier throughout the map. So kind of these 3 glowing areas are the important ones, the ones that you need to utilize. Now, what you're then going to need to do is there's going to be a specific glowing knight that runs around the map. And usually you have to kill a few enemies like the other yellow bar knights to trigger this guy, but you can see him right here. He's called Vorlog Risen in Heresy. So you have to kill this guy while standing in one of the 3 highlighted symbols. Now, once you do, as you can see, the boss will actually teleport to this location that you were standing on when you killed this guy. And then two symbols are going to appear. You're going to see a hive symbol just kind of floating in the air, and then a circular symbol. So what you actually need to do is literally position yourself so you look through the circle and put the hive symbol inside the circle, as you can see on screen right here. And once you do, you can also see that it then spawns a hive ruin symbol where the boss is. So, just one more time, you're going to activate Deep Sight to reveal a triangle with 3 different points. Head to one of those points and kill Vorlog while you're standing there. That triggers the boss to go over there and spawn 2 symbols. Visually match up the 2 symbols, the hive symbol inside the circle. That is going to reveal the hive ruin that you then need. Okay, so once the ruin is revealed, then you may have been wondering, why are these underwater sections on the outskirts of the map? That's where these come into play. So there's 3 different locations, 3 separate rooms you can go to outside of this main arena. So if you head in this direction, which is going to be right or left depending on your perspective, but regardless, you're going to go underwater and then you're going to go into this separate room. And right in front of you is a hive symbol, that ruin. You're going to have to memorize that. But there's also going to always be in this particular room a Lucent Hive Knight. So kill this knight, and then as you can see, if you get the finisher on him, you will get a buff, Vestige of a Knight. Now, if you were to go the opposite direction into that room, as you can see, it's a different hive symbol, and it's always going to be a Lucent Hive Wizard. You get the finisher on that guy, you get Vestige of a Wizard. And then finally, near the back of the arena, as you can see, you go in there, and there's going to be a Lucent Hive Acolyte. So get the finisher, you have Vestige of an Acolyte. And so each 3 of these different rooms are going to have a different hive symbol. So what you need to do is find the one that matches the one you just revealed in this main arena, the one that's floating above the boss. So in this example, we activate the symbol, it's lines. My teammate goes, oh, I went into Wizard and that had lines. Let's go into Wizard. We go into that room, get the kill on the Wizard, get that buff, and then head back into the main room, and the person with Vestige of a Wizard goes and activates it on that symbol. But importantly, you do have to have Deep Sight active. So you have to activate Deep Sight, or someone has to activate Deep Sight. It's active for the entire team. And then the person with the Vestige plants it on that symbol. And then if you do it right, you'll get a little notification, I believe. And then the Vorlog Glowing Knight is going to eventually respawn, and you have to lure him to the next area in that triangle, right? Kill him from that glowing area, trigger the boss to go there. It's gonna produce 2 more symbols, line them up visually, and then get the next ruin. And then obviously you go to either the knight or the acolyte that matches the ruin in that main room, get the Vestige, come back, plant there, and then obviously you do that a 3rd time and plant the last Vestige to trigger the boss fight. Now, importantly, if you did want to speed this process up, we did discover that while one teammate was off, killing the Wizard, for example, we were able to just get the other symbol active before that person even activated the first symbol. So potentially you might be able to just activate all 3 symbols, and then all 3 people could go and kill their individual guy, and then just all match whatever symbol is floating above the arena and get it all done in one run, rather than just going one symbol at a time, which still might be safer, but it's really up to you. Regardless of which way you do these activations, when all 3 symbols are activated, all 3 locations will start glowing with that green mist, and that is going to allow you to take the boss's immunity shield down. So pick whatever is the best location with the best view, and then head there, plant your well, DPS the boss. Now, she's going to move around, and she seems to kind of rotate in between these 3 different areas. So again, the kind of the highest one, the one with the best viewpoint, is the one you want to do your DPS from. So at this point, you're either going to kill the boss, or if you don't, you're simply going to have to do that whole process again. Reveal the 3 different areas, trigger the ruins to spawn above those areas, go out and kill the associated Lucent Hive, match their symbols to the ones in the middle of the arena, and plant all 3 again to trigger another damage phase. Do that enough times, and as you can see right here, you will kill the boss and finally complete this dungeon. And so guys, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.